Okay, I had a problem with my stream, and then the cats wanted to get fed. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Okay, we're good. Yeah, it cut out in a good place. But the stream, and now I've got this. It's a current thing. Now it used to be, if they got the, I might have to write in and find out, but if they got the, if you got the marketplace screwed up, they would have a fix for that within a day or two. But I'm getting to where and I don't care because I don't use it. Even if I had money, I'm not a real big spender on this. But you get this where it's been ever been this since this last update where the marketplace is just not available. And hang on. And but they hang on. But just the marketplace isn't available. And the other thing I thought of is it could be somebody because I couldn't figure out what it is, but I the marketplace was working when I got on today, and then the marketplace was inactive when I got back on, and it's currently working. The stream is everything's good, and so I wonder if some shitbag that's connected to GM or otherwise I don't know. It is throwing up complaints about what's going on because I haven't done anything wrong, but they can harass me, and after they investigate it, they restore it where I've got access to. But it ain't working because I can still stream. But and I'm not even saying that's what it is. It could just be this update because there was an update a couple years ago, like 22 or 21, where it was the same thing after an update. So it might just have to wait till the next update. But the let me just finish up my call to action. And when I go to put these on, maybe I don't. I might just put them up as separate videos with the same name, part one and part two. But I'll try and take care of it in some way, shape, or form. But I'm not really that impressed with disability. Uh, I'm looking at what my brother gets, and I'm saying, even if I was on it, I'll tell you this: even if I won the lottery, I would still be asking you to do this because sooner or later my health is going to get real bad. I mean, let me phrase this. Let me rephrase that. I was going from the kitchen to the porch. It's like a one step drop. No, it's a big step. It's like a foot high, but it's like one step. It's not a flight of stairs. And I don't know if you want to call it getting lightheaded, partially passing out, but I fell and just fractured my ankle. And everything I have seen is telling me that this is getting worse. It's not anything. Oh well, slam. It's it is what it is. But so sooner or later, unless there's a cure for this, and it's just, sooner or later I'm gonna want this. Because if this gets worse, or if I run out of money to live on, which or if I fixing up the place here eats all my money, if my health concerns eat all my money, uh, I don't have that much. I got enough to live comfortably. I'm hoping I can live until my cat, uh, till my cat is ready to die. I think that's what I'm waiting on. After that, I don't really give a shit. But but yeah, just right. Make that assisted suicide legal. Let's see if we can get going on it. Uh, but but anyways, to get back to the story, that really, I kind of got up, and that's kind of putting me in a. Hang on a sec. Three, four. But the cat was in here, and it was a little early. But when the stream took a shit, I'm like, well, let's go get you guys fed, because if I'd have been able to keep going, but I'm like, I'm gonna have to come back and fuck with this, and just go feed you, get you out of the way, and then I came back. Well, getting up, doing that, it has a toll on me, and but anyways, okay, the next creature or culture or whatever you want to call it, I'm not the best. If 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 aliens are ever coming down, if somebody is in desperate need and they come to me, we're probably too far gone as a society to be deserving of being saved, because I am the last person that should be the spokesperson for this fucking country. Uh, it is what it is. Uh, okay, the next one, and I might be pronouncing this. I think they're the Telsheens or something like that. I didn't make these names up. Most of these names, like the Kami and this one here, uh, the Hopi ones, the Hopi ones. I think I had heard of them before, but the Telsheens, I'd never heard of them. And the legends of the Greek tell us of this. They're humanoid creatures that were land by day and return to the sea by night. I wonder if these were the cause of the mermaid rumors. I've heard, I may have heard of them, but I've heard of them as mermaids or mermen. But oh my God, this was kind of interesting for me. That's what I'm saying. This whole thing, whether you're a believer or not, or you're like me, you're trying to keep an open mind, but you need proof. You need proof. If you're like Neil deGrasse Tyson, and this is just my personal belief. I think they could come down, and unless the aliens come down, abduct him, and fucking invent some tests to run on his asshole, he's not going to believe him. You can have all the proof in the world you want, and he's just not going to believe it. Um, the thing is, listening to his speech, if we had to count on people like him, we wouldn't have a justice system. Or we'd have a justice system that Donald Trump would be proud of, because he doesn't believe witness testimony counts for anything. Shit, we got a lot of people. We got if Neil deGrasse Tyson is to be taken seriously, we got a whole shitload of people we got to empty out of the jail. We got to we got to put some mass murderers and some other people. We got to be at their mercy because of him not believing eyewitness testimony. I mean, and then what was funny is he uh, he 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 was up for jury duty, and the judge wanted to know, hey, there's no physical evidence, so do you think you'll be able to judge fairly based on eyewitness testimony? And he went through this whole thing. How, well, no, you can't be. That should be your first indication that your view is wrong on UFOs. Uh, there's one standard for like normal people, and then there's another standard for scientists. Well, yeah, because if you've got somebody making a vaccine, or maybe doing something that could destroy the world, yeah, I think you need a little more exact science. But for evidentiary proof for criminal cases, eyewitness testimony is good to go. And but that's what the TV scientist said. Uh, but the Legend of the Greek tells it, and then yeah, it could be the legend of mermaids. Could the legends of mermaids be true? They were said to teach about metal. Could these be related to the story of Lemuria? And I don't even know if it's what they call, it's what we call Lemuria, because they're supposedly the ones that made Poseidon's pitchfork, and they built Atlantis. These are the same people. I've heard it was the island of the nation of Mu or Lemuria. These are the names I've heard, but I've never heard of these Telchinines or whatever. I cannot. I'm not even trying. I'm trying, but I'm admitting I cannot pronounce this name. Uh, and I have heard, this is in a different setting, but I have heard that the early story of the Olympics had reports of werewolves. I don't know if it's true. If they lied to me, I'm lying to you, but I'm not doing it on purpose. But the they had werewolves used to come and compete in the Olympics. And in the way they saw it, that they're listed as werewolves. It's not like they were described. That was what they were given. It's what they put them down as. I don't know, but if you look back in time, there have been many, many times that something that they thought was mythology or a legend turned out to be true. My understanding is the Troy, the oh God, I can't think of that. I think it was the city of Troy, Helen of Troy. Yeah, the face that launched 1,000 ships or whatever. That was all believed to be a story, and then they actually found the cities. And like Gilgamesh and that, I don't know if this is true. I've seen it on YouTube, but Gilgamesh was considered to be a story. Well, then they started finding the Sumerian cities. And my understanding is they just found Gilgamesh's tomb, and he's like a giant. He's not normal size, but I don't know if that's true. But there was a video on YouTube that they just found Gilgamesh's. I don't know. I find it interesting. Uh, okay, I think these are the last two that we're gonna get. So if you can write, I think it only does you good to write people in Washington, but write them and let them know. It's been eliminated. Chuck Schumer has said stuff and I think that senator that co-sponsored with, they have both, but Chuck Schumer's been a little more because he's in a majority position. He's in a leadership position, but they have both, both given it support. We need to get that amendment that they have for disclosure from the military and others. We really need that. I mean, I don't care if you believe in UFOs or not. The military has not passed a budget ever since the time they've been doing them. They had like just literally skids, truckloads of skids of money. Like you take a pallet, you load bricks of money on that you get like not even like like the stuff that goes to the bank, not the stuff the bank gives you, but like what they get. And it was in skids. It was truckloads of it just came up missing. Okay. Um, there's a billion reasons a year why we need this bill. And then if we get UFOs, it's a bonus. I guarantee you, I cannot guarantee we're going to find UFOs or whatever, but I can almost guarantee you that we're going to find corruption. We're going to find missing money. The whistleblowers that came forward for the UFOs, he said that, and he got it from multiple people, and it sounds like all his stuff has been backed up by the inspector general, what he could confirm, and the rest of it wasn't shit. He just couldn't confirm it. It's like the Steele dossier. Pretty much everything they could confirm, checked out. There's some stuff you just can't confirm. So it's still an open question. It's not, the Republicans for their crimes, they act like, oh, well, if you can't find evidence, it's immediately dismissed. Well, no, but if there's like 90% of it is true, we can we don't even need the other 10%. But if there's one thing you can't prove, and fair enough, you can't prove a negative. Like, did you steal some money? No, prove it. You can't prove a negative. That's fair enough. I get that. But, when most of what you find there is true, it is true, that's good enough. The rest of it, we'll wait and see if something comes up, but there's enough to prosecute there, or at least open an investigation. And, that was like that scandal with the Bush administration. His records came up missing from Vietnam, and I really don't know. I know that the people, the reporters, they investigated that like they did any other case, and they said if they had done that to any non-Republican, their vetting of the documents would have been enough. But these Republicans, they act like, and again, if you find one thing that may be shady, then the whole thing's, no, that isn't the way it works. He may have created documents that he had seen and had since come up missing. But like when they dealt with it, was it the right typewriter? Yes. When they talked to the general's secretary, the general was dead, so you couldn't get him to testify. But she said, yes, the general had one of those typewriters in his office. Well, you were a secretary, you typed everything. She goes, no, there were certain things that he typed. If it was critical and I wasn't in the office or I went home for the night, he would just type it up. He was a nice guy. Sounds like he was a hell of a nice guy. She said if it was something that was confidential or she couldn't see, he would type it up. And then she said, so, she didn't type it up. She didn't remember seeing it. But she said what she read in it when they showed it to her, it was consistent with what she heard around the gossip, the water cooler. It's what they were talking about on the base. Now, that right there, for anybody else. But with these Republicans, oh, nothing to see here, move along. But yeah, but I'm not kidding you. That amendment, we need it. We need it. We've got a real shot at undoing the military-industrial complex, which President Eisenhower, the lion who led Allied forces in World War II, who later became a president, he tried to warn us about it when he was leaving office. So we need that. So let them know they got to pass Chuck Schumer's amendment. Write the president, tell him he needs to work to get it passed, because we can't let this go on. There's like $1 billion. I'm serious. If if they're giving money, I don't care if they're giving us $1,000. We're giving them $1,000. If they can't tell us, I mean, yeah, if you bought too many toilets or whatever, 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 if they screwed up, fine. This is stuff we don't even know what it's being spent on. Or it's stuff we think is being spent on this and it's being spent on something that we don't know. They should be able to account. I'm not kidding you. I just want to put this up. There were some nukes that came up missing when George Bush was. It's the same shit they did here. Uh, they had 6 nukes that came up missing, and they had 6 nukes that came up missing, and they ended up on a plane. And Secretary Gates, not related to Bill Gates, but his name was Gates, I think. He he got into it, and he said, "Well, I need you guys to do an investigation and get back to me on how this happened." And I think what it was, uh, DARPA DARPA is it's like an intelligence group. They're they work on research. I think DARPA was the one that came up with the internet. They were the ones that I forget what it was called, ARPANET or something like that. They I think they were the ones that created that. It was it was a way for communication for the military and government to be effective. Like it was meant to survive like a nuclear war, and it was something like if so much was destroyed, it would still survive. And then later on, it became turned into the internet, and I believe it was basically used by universities and that for their research. And yeah, this is I'm gonna go a little long because I'm feeling pretty good, well within reason. But so like this is a thing, and I had to correct somebody in the family because they were making fun of, well, if Al Gore he created the internet. Well, he did. He's the one who created the funding for ARPANET. Now it was stupid for him to say that. He really was, but he didn't create the internet, but he created the thing that without it there would have been no internet until it was created. And he's the one who created it. He got money to look into developing ARPANET. And then the one for Bush where he misspoke, my understanding is, I got to be real careful here. Uh, there, there's the internet, and then after they created the internet, the universities were really bummed because theirs had been, it was really good when it was just theirs. But then, so they created an internet too for university, for like research and stuff like that. I don't think I'm wrong, but again, this is the same thing. You can refuse to trust and verify. Like you don't even have to trust me if you're interested. You can, but I think I'm right on this. Now this one here, I don't think you're going to be able to verify, but um, and this guy could have been completely full of shit. He could have been completely full of shit, and I don't even know the guy's name, but I bumped into somebody, and we were shooting the shit. We were drinking, and he mentioned that he had been in a specific job, and he and we just got talking about this kind of shit, and he used to have a job I don't want to get into specifics, but he had been out of it for a while, and he was telling his wife or girlfriend, and again, yeah, this is why I really don't know who the guy is, and he could have been completely full of shit, but there was a special internet that was hidden on the internet, and he was going on to these websites, and they had these like access points that you couldn't, unless you knew what you were looking for, you'd never see them. And he got in and he was showing his wife or girlfriend. He was showing her all this stuff that he used when he had his job, and she was like freaking out. And he was telling me about it, and he offered, and I go, no, no, I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to. The way I am, there were some friends of mine. They were downloading the terrorist handbook. Yeah, I know, and I don't really. They were doing it because there was a threat that it might become illegal. So there was like a guy I worked with. He was bragging about how he was gonna a bump stock or whatever. He didn't have one. Didn't feel he needed one. But the minute they were gonna make it illegal, I'm gonna go get one. And these guys were the same way. They really didn't have any interest in it. They're not bad people, but as soon as there was talk that it might be illegal, they were gonna make it to where it would be illegal to download. Well, we're gonna get it. And they asked me if I wanted a copy, and I'm like, no. I go, because see, the thing is, um, and I'm like, no. And they go, why not? And they said something, and I go, no, I don't care if you guys have it, but see, if I have that, I'm going to want to see if it works. Yeah, and they go, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna want to see if it works. And that could get me into trouble. So I'm like, yeah, I have no interest in, that's just something I shouldn't have access to unless I have a reason to use it. And so I just begged off on that. But George Bush, everybody said he made a mistake when he talked about the internet. No, I think that was a fuck up a classification. He probably had been reading things about the multiple internets that we have for covert, classified, and other, and he might have even heard about the one for the scientists use, which they don't really advertise. And he made a thing about the internets. Well, yeah, that was they probably like let it be labeled as a fuck up, but that was probably, he let something slip that he shouldn't have. Okay, I think these might be the last two. Imhotep and Akhenaten. Imhotep, I think it's one it was an Egyptian. It was an Egyptian god, sorta. They had an episode of Stargate with him. He was the main character, but I don't really want to go into a lot of detail on Imhotep. But Imhotep could be an alien, but he was portrayed like Jesus as a man, and I don't mean that he was raised like for 3 days afterwards, but he was basically, I think, talked about as a man. And then after he died, he was deified, where they kind of raised him up to godhood. Uh, and that's the same way as Jesus. He was a man, and then but he had the whole story. That they didn't have Imhotep raised from the dead because that was Osiris. Osiris is the one with that part of the Jesus story where he was died and then 3 days later he rose from the dead. But so just so you know, it either wasn't as special as it was because he wasn't the only one that was said to have done it, or they just completely stole the story after he died and created the myth of him. Uh, but unlike Jesus, his statues kind of looked like he was not human. And that's why they've kind of put in there, that he might have been like an alien, and then Akhenaten, I believe he was King Tut's dad. Yeah, he pushed to abolish the pantheon of gods and worship one sun god. His rule did not last long. He is the father of the King Tut. Um, my understanding is he might be connected to early Christianity. He, or more likely his brother, could be who they call Moses. And it's God, the Sumerian story of Gilgamesh. There's a character in there that sounds like he's Noah. They have a character in there that sounds exactly like Noah. So either the story repeated itself, the Christians or the Jewish people took the story of Noah and basically stole it from the Sumerians, or we got a crisis that has happened more than once. The flooding, and it's almost identical. Uh, but but when you look at the story of Moses, it's a story about a slave that had to be hidden in a boat. He was going to be killed, and then the mother saved him and sent him down the river. And he was raised by a slave woman. And then that slave was taken by. So I might not be right. I'm generalizing, but he sent him down the river and whatnot. And he was raised as an orphan or whatever with royalty. And there's no evidence of that. There is absolutely no history of that. But what we have is a guy that wanted to get rid of all of the Egyptian gods and go to one god. Forget the details. And then he was basically thrown out or killed or whatever. He just, things didn't work out for him. He did not last long. Uh, and that sounds a lot like it. There's actually history of that. And, but, and there's a book, I believe, where they speculated it was Anunnaki and was Moses. I think it's more likely his brother was. But that just threw Egypt into turmoil when he came in and said, "Yeah, your gods are no good. We gotta," and who knows, because they pretty much obliterated all history of him. In fact, I don't think much was known about him until some recent within the last 100 years, I think, some excavations or archaeological digs. They have found a lot about him in the. I'm not even sure King Tut was known that much, but they literally tried to wipe them out of history, and and that's a better fit that maybe his brother led his people, and they might have, because of what his brother did, they might have imprisoned his brother and then let my people go. They might have imprisoned his brother and his people loyal to him, and then the whole story of Moses could be about his brother raising up an army and then fleeing for safety. And then another thing is, I don't remember where I got it from, but the Ark of the Covenant is not a unique thing. Again, it might all be bullshit. If they lied to me, then I'm lying to you, but I am not doing it on purpose. But the Ark of the Covenant was like technology from Egypt. It There's more than one. But then if Moses took it from Egypt, uh, maybe they had to treat it like it's special so somebody wouldn't steal it or whatever. And there was I can't remember. I think it was Alabama, but I can't remember exactly where it was. There was a school that they created the Ark of the Covenant from the Bible description of it, and it was giving off so much electricity that 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 it was just too dangerous to have around. So they finally they dismantled it, but they actually made one. It's like some part of it is a superconductor, but as is, it creates a lot of electricity. That's modern day. And so like some of the stories were like, I don't think the ones of it doing all the damage, being like a super weapon from God. I don't believe that because one, if it really was a powerful weapon controlled by some god, then when anybody attacked, they'd just be wiped out. But there's at least one or two stories where they were under attack and they had to sneak it out. They had to run away. Well, wait a minute, it's a super weapon. Or is it? It's either a super weapon or it isn't. And if they have to flee when the city's under attack, doesn't sound like it's a real super weapon. But the ones where somebody stole it and they put it somewhere and it like they came in the next day and the statue, yeah, that sounds like that's legitimate because this thing was just throwing off a shitload of fucking energy. And the story of people getting sick being around it, that's believable too, because again, they were primitive people. They didn't understand it, and I don't know, but that might tie into Atlantis because if Atlantis had lost stuff, maybe they couldn't build their technology. Maybe they couldn't build it. Well, this was something that they could build because it was big. It wasn't tiny. It wasn't, didn't take any special tools or manufacturing process. This Ark of the Covenant that they put in the Bible, this is something they could build, and maybe it's a way for them to generate. Now, maybe they couldn't make use of it, but this would be a way for them to generate electricity in large amount. I mean, just it sounds like it was pretty impressive by that university. But maybe they didn't have, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But, the primitive people couldn't do anything with it. But this story of him worshiping the sun, and, like, the sun, it comes up in the morning and it goes, well, you know what? They destroyed so much of the history. Maybe it was, the legend of Jesus, or maybe not Jesus, but the Son of God. But it was lost, or maybe that is what it was supposed to be, and his brother fucked it up, Moses fucked it up, and it was just completely nonsense when it got to the other end of the, because, you got to think if he knew it, like if the burning bush or somebody came to him and taught him a story, his brother probably didn't know at all. And he died or was killed. And then his brother, he told a bunch of people. The story changed over the 40 years they were wandering in the desert. And then he died. Then when the people got to the promised land, maybe they had the whole story fucked up. I'm just saying, it's a possibility. But he had an elongated head. The statues of him are even worse than Imhotep for just being weird. But he He had an elongated head. You know, like, as they said, they go and looked at what other monarchs or other pharaohs were. They were, looked normal, but all of his. Now, could it be because they didn't like him? Well, yeah, but then why would you hide him? I believe all these were hidden, but he had an elongated head, much like they have found. And I'm talking, these are the ones, not the ones where they wrap the head, but they found elongated skulls, and they're not like our skulls. They're not like our skulls. Or they were like, they were different. And maybe he was different. And him and his wife, I think, were both listed, and his children were all listed like that. And they were all just weird. And much of this could probably be answered, uh, but Egypt shuts down anyone looking into that history almost as they know it's a lie, and they fear anyone digging up the truth. There was it was on HB, it was on a History Channel years ago, and he was kind of a piece of shit too, because he was looking at something. He goes, well, I know the Jewish faith, so I know that. Well, no, that's the wrong thing. If you're a scientist, if you're an archaeologist, you should come to everything as I don't know nothing. Let's see where the evidence leads. But and I think that's why his show got canceled, because he kind of muttered it under his breath. But he was doing. I think he was the one that was doing something where if he let them know what he was honestly doing, they would have shut him down. Graham Hancock is another one I believe has been banished from Egypt. And I can't think of the guy's name, but he had a show on. He was featured, I think, in that the Pope, the last Pope one. But he used to have a show. I think it was Unearthed America or something. He was the same way. When he started finding evidence, and again, maybe it wasn't true, maybe it was an oddity, but when he started finding evidence of something that was not accepted by mainstream archaeology, Graham Hancock has experienced this. He was basically banished. He couldn't go in some of these countries. They just wouldn't let you go in there anymore. And uh, it's almost like they know, like, what could Egypt be afraid of? Are they going to find out that Israel is maybe the rightful ruler of Egypt? I mean, I'm just saying, and it probably ain't even the ones in charge anymore. But it's like they know that they know that the actual history is a lie, is what it seems like, and they're afraid of anybody doing. Well, I said this with some of these proto MAGA people when I was down in Indiana. Only ignorant people fear the truth. They literally, but that's what they got. Okay. Oh, okay. This is the last one. This is the one. If it wasn't for this one, I would not have wanted to do it. And all of these were good, but in 1950s, an alien crash landed his spaceship, and he was known as J-Rod. He's the only survivor. There were four beings in the craft, and he's the only one who survived. He is said to be helping or have helped the U.S. military with technology. I'm really trying to keep an open mind, but I find this just crazy. I literally do. But maybe that crazy is why it might be true. I don't know. A lie would be a lie. If it was really a lie, it would not be that ridiculous. And I mean that sincerely. This just sounds fucking ape shit crazy. Just fucking crazy. But maybe it's true, and that's because again, if you were gonna make up a lie, you'd make up something more believable. That's something Bob Lazar said. He's like, for people that think this is a lie, he goes, I think I could make up something that sounded better. I'm telling you the truth, whether people believe him or not. But yeah, it just ape shit fucking crazy. The only other one is, and this one here, I don't even have as much trouble believing this, but there was somebody down in Indiana, and I do firmly apologize to that guy. But again, when I see this crazy shit or stuff I perceive as crazy, it just fucking flips a switch in me. And I just start being a smartass or I start being an asshole. But it's like you can't really seriously expect us to. This to me is up there with the Jewish space laser lady in Congress, that fucking dipshit MAGA fucking moron, or the ghost of Hugo Chavez was like hacking the voting. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I lose all patience at shit like that. Uh, but May 21st, 1953, they assembled a team to investigate a crash in the outskirts of Kingman, Arizona. Okay. Four beings found in the crash, and I don't know if they were dead then, but the craft appeared to be intact. They couldn't see anything wrong with them. It had crashed, but it looked intact. And there was like one vehicle, one survivor. I don't know if he survived. He was the only one survived when they got there, or if it was after they got him to the base. He was the only one that survived after they had him in captivity. Now, um, Captain Bill, I think I got it right. U House. Again, if they're lying to me, I'm lying to you, but I am not doing it on purpose. Captain Bill U House, he was an Air Force test pilot, has told his story with this. After he came forward, Dan, and now this I'm not sure of, but Dan Burrish or something close to that, he came forward. He was a microbiologist hired to care for J Rod to keep him alive. And the story is like that Air Force guy, that captain that came forward. He goes, well, when he talked to you, when he was talking to you, it didn't matter how many people were in the room, but whoever he was talking to, he talked in their voice. He said he was like an alien parrot. And he only met with the guy with the alien like 10 times. But he was supposedly teaching the military, our military. Again, I don't know if it's true or not, but we need that amendment. And I I really want, because it's like I want that amendment so they can have the president pick people, and I want to get it in there before there's any chance fucking dipshit Trump gets back in there. But as long as I don't even think Bush would have fucked this up. But you go back to Reagan, you go back to President H.W. Bush. I think they'd have been. I think this they wouldn't have fucked around with, you know, and really, if the story is true, Jimmy Carter, he uh, he asked for everything UFO related, and the story is, I don't know if it's true or not. The story is that George H.W. Bush was the CIA director at the time, and he told him, no, you can't have it. You don't have a need to know. And he should have been fired on the spot. I mean, you see a lot of this timid chicken shit stuff from Democrats now, which I think is going to fuck us because Trump doesn't care. Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't care. The Speaker of the House doesn't care. Some of it because they're criminals, some of it because they speak with God. They're fucking delusional, fucking religious nutbags. But I really fear for our country. And I don't think I'm insane to feel that way. But I want this to go before the president. And I mean, I think he should like declassify all JFK files. I don't even think Biden is old enough to have been involved in that. And I think being the president, whatever it is, I don't see how you can say that, oh, there's nothing to go on, and then keep a semi load of fucking secret documents from something like 60 or 70 years ago. I don't see how you can. I really don't see how you can make that. It either there's something funny going on, or you'd have it all declassified. And I think it would go a long way to maybe winning over those young voters if he came out on it. I really do. I think the alien thing, if he declassified that, it would go a long way to earning the respect. And granted, you're going to have to do something else in these fucking shitbags. This day of JFK, don't ask what you can do, what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. I think that sentiment's gone, and it's a shame. It's a shame, but I think it gets rid of Trump. I firmly believe that, but I want this president approved, and again, I don't think I'm qualified. But if it's going to take you 25 years to go through all the stuff that there is, hire me. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, I'm not really joking, but yeah, I know it's ridiculous. I'm not qualified. But if these fucking shitbags in Washington are gonna be that fucking chicken shit that it's gonna take them 25 years to declassify to go through it, give it to me. I mean, you might need somebody to finish it, but I can go through there with a bulldozer, and I think all the stuff that has happened. I think I can go through there with a bulldozer and free up a lot of it. I can get the logjam out. I get hire some of those military people. Hey, go through here and find everything it's overclassified, your understanding, and be able to defend it, and then come back. We're gonna have a meeting once a week, every other week, and that's all you do. You got a classification. You go through this, and because they were saying to the intelligence or the oversight committee that there is stuff that I don't understand the classification system, but they're like, this was not on a military base. It wasn't shot with government cameras. Somebody shot it with their iPhone or something like that. And he goes, I don't understand how that gets a classification. He goes, I just don't understand. Well, that shit. I mean, that's like low hanging fruit. You get the right people to go through. You can probably be releasing a truckload of shit every week. You can go through and just declassify that, and but yeah, that's something we need. Because again, if this is either true or it isn't, and I really think that yeah, this J Rod to keep him alive. Now, the only extraterrestrial, he's not the only extraterrestrial working with the government. It's believed that there's others, but if we've got these aliens, they kept him locked up underground unless he was not good in the sun. He was a prisoner. What must me look like? I mean, seriously, what must we look like to the other aliens if that's true? I mean, in some of those aliens you see now, maybe they're here, maybe it's taken a while to get here, but maybe they're looking for their friend. Maybe one of these times they're gonna show up with a fucking armada and fucking clean house. If any of this is true, because I mean that doesn't sound like yeah, they kept them locked up, and they got brought in that biologist to try and figure out how to keep them alive. Well, you know maybe that might even qualify. That might not even qualify as following the Geneva Convention. It's just weird shit. But if we got that passed, if we got that Chuck Schumer amendment and that Republican guy that co-sponsored it, if we get that passed, no nonsense. The president helped him. My understanding is the president was helping him write it. And what are we seeing? We're seeing that Donald Trump is getting in to fuck up the border, and don't tell me you don't think that these Republicans can be got to by somebody more powerful. And again, with with those uh, with those government agencies, I can give you at least a billion reasons why they might want to keep things quiet. But it's either true or it's not. And if it's true, I think Congress needs to be kept in the loop. I literally think if we are keeping these aliens, and again, I don't know, but if hypothetically, if we're keeping these captured aliens prisoners underground, I think the like Gang of Eight need to be aware of that. I uh, I don't know, but that one just it just sounds bullshit. It just sounds fucking crazy. But also, I'm trying to think what Lou Elizondo said. I'm not trying to tell you. Yeah, this is what he said when he went on 60 Minutes. He goes, "I'm not trying to tell you it isn't sounding crazy. I'm trying to tell you it's true." And I kind of, I'm trying to keep an open mind, but I mean, we got UFOs all the time. And like another thing with those mermaid ones that maybe those aliens that they say are going into the water, maybe they're going down and talking to them. Maybe they're there looking for them. Yeah, maybe they're doing it for heat, or maybe they're doing it for what their ship desires or whatever. I don't know because somebody made a. I think they were wrong, but somebody made a case that uh, no matter what planet you go to, the sea's going to be the same. Well, not necessarily true because it's going to depend on the density of the water, what's in it. It's going to depend on the gravity itself of the planet. But who knows? Maybe, and maybe they're doing it. This makes sense. Maybe they're doing it for cooling. But again, that would be dependent on surface temperature, sunlight, and whatnot. But maybe they're doing it for fuel. That was my idea. But I mean, yeah, if we got these guys prisoners and we're basically working them like a sweatshop to give up their secrets, who knows? Maybe we're torturing them. Uh, I think Congress has a right to know. I literally think at least the Gang of Eight needs to be informed of that, or they've got problems. So yeah, let's. I don't know, but I just thought that was the only reason I went through this and picked out the top three or four or five of them that I liked. But this one is just fucking. And if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, when this gets up on YouTube, leave a comment. I'd really like. It's gonna take a while, but when this gets up on YouTube, please come back and make a comment on YouTube because I want to see. I really do want to see how many people think that this is just a crazy ass story, and how many people honestly think it's true. But that was just nuts. Well, peace out. I hope you have a good day. I hope you enjoyed it. This felt like it was a good episode. Peace out and take care.